Let's get going with clue 3, and we're gonna add some short rows to the shawl. We're gonna use both colors, main color and contrast color, and this section is really fun because we get to see bigger blocks of each color. Not tiny little stripes, but if you've got those variegated and really speckled yarns, this section is really gonna showcase those painterly colors. I don't have a recommended mohair dare during this clue, but if you have some extra mohair colors or some extra color pops, feel free to incorporate a little stripe of mohair or just a random little block of mohair. Maybe just in one of the short row wedges, you hold some mohair together with one of your colors. So if you've got some extra colors to spice up your shawl, you can skip ahead to the end of this video to see what the finished clue 3 looks like, and that might give you some visual ideas of, ooh, what if I put a little streak of mohair, a little stripe in each short row wedge. So it's up to you how you want to incorporate your extra little color pops or mohair dares, but if you've only got one ball of mohair, I have some other mohair moments coming next week in the final clue to use up all that mohair. So choose just to use your 2 colors for this and follow along with your written instructions, or if you want to get extra creative, you can sneak in those color pops throughout the clue. Let's knit some short row wedges. This section begins with the stitches from the previous section, the 409 stitches. We're going to begin at the beginning of the right side here, using the main color. Mine is still attached. If you broke your main color, then attach your main color to work this next section. This next section is going to be worked sideways with some wavy short row wedges. As we knit this new little section sideways, we'll be binding off stitches while attaching a beautiful little border to the shawl. Using main color, knit 3, slip 3 stitches onto left needle, knit 3. We're going to do that 11 times. Slip and knit 3. That was twice. Slip and knit 3. This is the 3rd time. Slip and knit 3. That was the 4th time. Once you repeat the instructions inside the parentheses, slip 3, knit 3, 11 times, you should have an I-cord this long. Pick up and knit 12 stitches along the I-cord edge. Dive into both legs of an I-cord stitch to pick up and knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you hold the yarn in your right hand, wrap it around and pull it through. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So 12 stitches picked up and knitted along the I-cord edge, plus the 3 I-cord stitches. That's 15, and the final thing is slip 1 with yarn in front. Bring the yarn forward to slip one of those live stitches from the previous section. You should have 16 total stitches on your needle. Get a stitch marker. It could be a regular stitch marker or a locking stitch marker, or it could be some yarn tied in a knot for a stitch marker. Row 2, wrong side, knit 2. Place marker onto the right needle. Knit to last 3 stitches. Slip the last 3 with yarn in front. Row 3, right side, knit to marker. and then remove the stitch marker. Turn to work the wrong side. Row 4, wrong side, knit 2, place marker, knit to last 3 stitches. Slip the last 3 with yarn in front. Repeat last 2 rows 4 more times. Each time you stop, you're gonna stop 2 stitches earlier each time. So keep on going, repeating rows 3 and 4, 4 more times. I'm doing the wrong side, row 4 of the final 4th repeat, and I just have 3 stitches before I slip the last 3. So when you do that final 4th repeat, you don't have to place a stitch marker that final time. But this is what it looks like after you repeat the last 2 rows, rows 3 and 4, repeat them 4 more times. You should have all of these little short row gaps, and the final gap is here, and there were 3 stitches, and then the 3 I-cord stitches. Row 13, right side, knit 15 while closing the short row gaps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When you reach a short row gap like this, use the left needle and insert it into that bump below the stitch you just knitted, and knit it together with the next stitch. Knit 1. Here's another short row gap, this big space. Pick up a garter bump, knit it together with the next stitch. Knit 1. Here's another short row gap. Pick up that garter bump, knit it together with the next stitch. Knit 1. Pick up the garter bump, knit it together. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We need to knit 15. Here's the final short row gap closure, that 15th stitch. Slip 2 with yarn in front. This is the last stitch and the next live stitch. So bring the yarn forward and slip those next 2 stitches with yarn in front. Row 14, wrong side, knit 2 together. Knit those 2 stitches together. And then slip the last 3 with yarn in front. Make sure I get that correct stitch. So we're doing an I-cord edge, slipping the last 3 with yarn in front. You should have 16 stitches, counting from here, 16 stitches for these short row wedges. Main color pattern repeat. Knit 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then go ahead and remove that marker. It doesn't say it that very first time, but later on when we are repeating the contrast color, there won't be a marker later there. But for this first time, there's that marker. So remove the marker the first time you work row 15. Row 16, knit 2, 1, 2, place marker, knit 9, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, slip 3 with yarn in front. Row 17 and 18 and 16, you're knitting to the marker and then turning around to knit the other way. So keep following rows 17 and 18 closely And then you'll repeat rows 17 and 18 3 more times. So you'll be doing a turn here, and then here, here, and here to make another little short row wedge. I'll see you towards the end of this wedge. I just completed rows 19 to 24, where I'm repeating the last 2 rows 3 more times, so we have more of these short row gaps. And the last gap was right here, and then there's 3 stitches and the 3 I-cord stitches. You don't need to place a stitch marker on the final repeat of row 18, so you can remove the marker. Ready for row 25. Knit 15 while closing the short row gaps. Remember, these gaps are these big spaces right here, and you knit that picked up loop together with the next stitch. Knit 1, and here's another gap to close. Do you see that gap? Knit to the gap, it's just 1 stitch. And then close the gap. Knit 1, close the gap. There we go. Close the gap. That was the 15th stitch. 15, and then there's 1 more stitch there. This is slip 2 with yarn in front. Bring the yarn forward. Ooh, bring the yarn forward. And we're going to slip that last stitch and the next live stitch from section 4 with yarn in front. Row 26, knit 2 together, knit 12, (11, 12), and slip the last 3 with yarn in front. We just did another short row wedge. It's looking like this, and we're going to do 1 more. So for rows 27 to 38, repeat rows 15 to 26 of pattern repeat once more. Once you complete that garter stitch short row section, you have the 3 wedges. And earlier I said you could break the main color, but I'm going to keep it attached. So you can keep the main color attached because we're going to use it later on this edge. So let the main color just hang out for now. And we're going to do contrast color pattern repeat row 39. Using contrast color, knit 15. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to start doing the Weavin Stephen technique, weaving in my ends as I knit so I don't have to weave them in later. So as you're knitting 15, I've done 5 stitches so far. 6. I'm going to cross that little tail of yarn on top of my working yarn. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and that's enough of the Weavin Stephen. That's woven in on the back side as you knitted. 15, and then there's 1 more stitch here. Slip 2 with yarn in front. The last stitch, this final stitch, and the next live stitch from section 7. Slip 2 with yarn in front. Turn to work wrong side. Row 40, knit 2 together. Knit 2 together, and then knit 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 5 stitches remaining on your left needle. Turn to work the right side. Knit 2. 1, 2. Place marker. Knit to last contrast color stitch. When you reach the last contrast color stitch here, there's one more contrast color stitch. Slip 2 with yarn in front. 1, 2. Wrong side, knit 2 together. Knit to marker. Remove the marker. Repeat last 2 rows 3 more times. Knit 2, place marker, knit to last contrast color stitch, slip 2 with yarn in front, turn to work wrong side. That was the 3rd time repeating. So now we're ready for row 49. Knit 2, slip 2 with yarn in front. Turn to work wrong side. Knit 2 together. Knit 12 while closing these short row gaps. So as you're knitting 12, you're going to reach a short row gap. Pick up the gap just like you did before. Pick up the bump just like you did before, but then slip, slip, knit. Slip that picked up bump and the next stitch together like that. So we're knitting to the gap. When you reach the gap, pick up that garter bump and slip, slip, knit. Slip knitwise, knit 2 together through the back. That's what it means when I say closing the short row gaps. We're doing a slip, slip, knit to close the gaps. Pick up a garter bump and then slip, slip, knit the next stitch to close the gap. So we did that knit 2 together, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We need to knit all the way, knit 12 while closing the short row gaps. So I did that knit 2 together, and then as you were knitting these 12 stitches, I showed you how to close those gaps with the slip, slip, knit technique. When you reach the last 3 stitches, slip the last 3 with yarn in front. You can break the contrast color. We're going to use it again, but there's going to be a whole other main color section. Or don't break the main color yet. Rewind. So we're going to repeat some rows first. So I just finished row 50, so don't break the contrast color. We need to do rows 51 to 74, which say repeat rows 39 to 50 twice more. You see we have one garter wedge, short row wedge here. We're going to be making 2 more. So this was 1. We're going to make another one and then a 3rd one. So repeat rows 39 to 50 twice more, and then you can break your contrast color after that. I'll see you at the end of these contrast color wedges. So I just did the closing of the short row gaps on the wrong side. You can break your contrast color after you have these 1, 2, 3 wedges. You're going to use the contrast color again, but not until after you do another main color section. So if you're confident in carrying your contrast color along the edge, you could do a trick where you hide the contrast color in your I-cord edge by, at the beginning of the right side, every single time you're at the beginning of the right side, you could cross your contrast color on top of your main color, and then you work with your main color, and then the next right side row, you can cross your yarns like this, and then work with the main color, and then the next time you're on the right side row, you cross your yarns like that. So that's one trick you could do to carry the contrast color along the edge, but I'm just gonna break my contrast color and do the Weavin Stephen so that I have fewer yarn ends hanging all the time from my work, or fewer yarns attached to my work. So go ahead, you can break your contrast color and you can weave it in using the Weavin Stephen method. Repeat rows 15 to 26 of the main color pattern repeat 3 times. So we're going to work with the main color again. Row 15, knit 14. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as I work these first stitches, once I get to that 4th stitch, I'm going to start doing the Weavin Stephen. Weaving in my ends as I knit. If you want to carry the contrast color, you can try it, but I just like to break my contrast color and Weavin Stephen, keep on going. We've done 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14. There's 2 stitches remaining on the left needle, just leave those there. After you knit 14, turn to work wrong side, knit 2, place marker, knit 9, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, slip 3 with yarn in front. Keep on following the instructions to make another identical short row section for your main color, and then we're going to repeat the contrast color wedges as well. You're doing 3 wedges of the main color, and then 3 wedges of the contrast color, 3 wedges of the main color, and then 3 wedges of the contrast color. So you're going to get these undulating little incline leans with these short row wedges. So follow the instructions closely and I'll show you what that looks like. This is what the completed short row wedges look like at the end of section 8. I have 20 main color short row sections and 19 contrast color. So from the beginning of the row, you have all of these really beautiful and fun short row sections, and you just keep on repeating as the pattern instructs, repeating the main color and the contrast color wedges all along the row until you reach the very end. And then once you do your final contrast color short row sections, there should be 6 stitches remaining on your left needle, and then you do your final repeat of the main color short rows. That says repeat rows 15 to 26 of main color pattern repeat 3 times. That's the final repeat I did, making those final 3 little wedges for the main color. Once you complete that final main color repeat, you should have 19 contrast color stripes, 20 main color stripes. Each stripe contains 3 short row wedges, 1, 2, 3. And then there's 3 final I-cord stitches from the previous section. So as you're knitting, it may happen that maybe you skipped a stitch, or maybe your stitch count was a little off. So if you find that when you're completing your final main color wedge repeat, if you have some extra stitches, you could do an extra knit 2 together from those live stitches from the previous section. Or if you don't have enough, then you could just go into the same stitch a couple of times. But you want to have those final 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 stitches from your short row section, and then there's 3 I-cord stitches remaining. We're ready for next row, right side. I broke my contrast color. We're done with that. Next row, right side, keep using the main color. Knit 2, knit 2 together through the back loop. Slip 3 stitches onto left needle, and we're going to do the knit 2 together through the back loop again. We're going to do that 12 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, decreasing all of those wedge stitches. Knit 2 together through the back loop, slip 3, knit 1, knit 2, knit 2 together through the back, slip 3 stitches onto left needle, knit 1, knit 2, knit 2 together through the back, knit 2, knit 2 together through the back. I'll see you at the end of this I-cord bind off. I'm doing the knit two together through the back for the 12th final time. There should be 3 main color stitches on your right needle and 3 main color stitches from the I-cord on your left needle. Break yarn, leaving an 8-inch tail approximately. Just break your yarn, leaving a tail about that long. Graft the remaining 6 stitches together. So we want the stitches just as they are on the right needle, but on the left needle, you need to take it out and put it in this way. Just pinch it and take it out and put it back in so that the purl bumps of those sets of 3 stitches are facing each other. So we're looking at the smooth I-cord there and the smooth I-cord there. Get that tail of yarn over here towards the pointy needle tips and place it onto a tapestry needle so we can graft these I-cord stitches together like this. Insert the tapestry needle through the first stitch on the front needle purlwise. Leave it on. Go through that first stitch on the back needle knitwise. Leave it on. Now we're going to go into the first stitch on the front needle knitwise, take it off, and then go through the next front needle stitch purlwise. Leave it on. The back needle, we go purlwise off, knitwise, leave it on. The front needle, knitwise off, purlwise, leave it on. The back needle, purlwise off, knitwise, leave it on, and then go into the front needle final stitch as if you're going to knit it, and the back needle stitch as if you're going to purl it. So you can watch that again, and I'm going to go ahead and weave in this end here. And whenever I weave in my ends, you can do this at any time if you want to make your work a little bit more tidy. I just do a whip stitch like this. You can weave in your ends however you like. This is my #1 method that's really quick. I just go into the purl bumps on the wrong side for about 10 stitches or so, and then you can cut your yarn. Never cut the yarn super close to the fabric. You can cut it about right here so that you have a little bit of wiggle room. That's the completed I-cord bind off and the graft. And look how smooth and seamless that looks for that nice little tip of the shawl. That's the completed section of this clue. We have these beautiful little scalloped stripes with the main color and the contrast color. Clue 3 brought these beautiful big short row kind of scalloped features to the shawl. So this is what the final Clue 3 looks like. You should still have quite a bit of yarn left for next week's Clue 4, so don't be worried if you still got a lot of yarn and you really want a big shawl. We're going to do a lot more knitting next week, but now we have this really fun, decorative, what looks like a border, but maybe, is that going to be the final border or is there going to be more? It's still not a complete shawl, so keep sharing those progress photos on Ravelry and on Instagram, and let me know in the comments down below where you think we're going to go. Do you think we're gonna pick up off of another edge or add some little details to some of the edges or go in another direction? What kind of techniques do you think are still left to explore? We're gonna do something different next week and finish the shawl in a small size for some of you. So if you want it not to be too big, there's just a little more knitting next week, and then we can have a smaller size, and there's gonna be a big size option next week too to eat up all your yarn and make the shawl as large as you want next week. So here's some really beautiful examples of what that Clue 3 looks like. That's so amazing to see how this shawl transforms depending on the contrast. If it's a shadowy contrast or a really high contrast punchy palette. So I can't wait to see your color palettes, and if you added some mohair dare during this section, definitely share those progress photos so we can encourage each other to spice it up and let go and make the shawl your own.